Good evening, everyone. Welcome back. Hope you guys are doing great. Tonight is going to be a special one. Not really. We're just going to be talking about nothing ever happens. Everything is getting delayed. It's boring. So, yeah, I don't know. What we were expecting to happen this week, everything is just getting pushed till later on. We already had news from before that the agriculture whatever was going to delay their decision on the market structure bill because they didn't even know what it was about. So we had to wait for the Democrats to read all that stuff. And now we just got confirmation that it is also going to be delayed by the banking committee, the one that was supposed to hold the vote today. So that's not happening. Yesterday, I spent the whole stream talking about, an attack on Iran is imminent. It's about to happen. Everything is set up. We're about to press the big red button to launch a missile, but ultimately, nothing happened. Apparently, there's reasons for that, which we will be looking into, we'll be discussing today, which means that it's still going to be an issue down the road. Again, we're going to have to deal with this whole thing once again, right? So that's going to be boring, but whatever. The threat is not over, or a potential attack on Iran there. So we got to wait and see what happens. We'll be talking about that. We'll be talking a bit about Greenland and Corina Machado, which also nothing much happened there. I mean, what did we expect? We were going to give her the power to run Venezuela? Probably not. But whatever. We'll still be discussing all of it, so should be a good one. This is my projection for Bitcoin for now, toward the way down on towards 91,000 approximately. I was mentioning anything like from 90,500 to 91,500. Why is there some lag on my screen? I don't know why. So I'm expecting a drop toward that area. Great area for accumulation is what I plan to do. If we do get there, this is the plan. Pretty wise, isn't it? We'll see what happens. So that's the plan. We got to wait and see. Eventually, once the price does hit that area, I will be very much aware of it because I stare at the screen all day. So I won't miss it. Other positions to be had. I mean, Bitcoin's still holding its uptrend nonetheless, so that's good. And if we are to approach the support level at 91,000, hypothetically, we should bounce and head higher. So we'll see what we're able to get from that. Moving on to Ethereum. This is really slow and laggy. I don't even have that many tabs open. Same deal with Ethereum. If you do plan on buying, it's going to be around 3,050 lowest. So it's still holding itself really good at 3,305. No complaints there. Holding it between, of course, resistance level of 3,400 and 3,268 on pivot level right there. Not a lot of movement overall today. The biggest movement happened yesterday. We had a really good rise in anticipation for a war, as crazy as that sounds. Or maybe people knew that there was no war that was about to happen. By the way, all that people that bet on Polymarket, rest in pieces. You already lost all your money. What was it? $30,000, $40,000 or $20,000, I think. I don't know. Or was it 400,000? I think that was the profit that was made. No, I don't remember. But it was a big amount of money and, well, you lost it. We checked it yesterday. The guy was already in a negative 30,000 profit. It was definitely more than that. I think it was 160,000. I don't remember the amount, whatever. People just have money to burn like that, which is pretty crazy to me. But hey, you do you. So Ethereum holding strong. Not much else to say there. Solana, current price is 141. We hit a high of 148, almost 149. I basically called for 150 to be the strongest resistance for it. So seems like we did approach toward that area and rebound from there. If we were to head lower, we're to head to about 132 to 133. Yeah, I'm feeling a bit bearish for the remainder of this week until we approach these low areas, reaccumulate enough strength to break out of whatever downtrends, whatever resistance we are to expect for the week after that. Week after that, we're expecting... Okay, hold on. So next week, what I mean is the PCE data, when it comes to economic stuff that we got to worry about, that will happen on... This is showing this week. Show me next week as well, please. That will be January 22nd, Thursday. We're expecting PCE data. And then nothing else, of course, for the remainder of that. But then in the month, very end of the month, we get the FOMC Fed interest rate decision that will happen on the 28th on Wednesday. So 2 big important events happening in the next 2 weeks. We'll see how that goes, of course. We'll be covering all that live. So, okay. Solana, currently no entries. I'm not going to touch it. If it approaches to 132, 133, I'll be entering for sure. Moving on. Monero had a great rise, hitting 800. That seemed to be the highest. We covered that yesterday. It's dropped to a low today of $657.85. Keep in mind the previous all-time high before all this rise was only $517.60. We're still way above that. We're at $689.42 currently. It's looking really, really strong, really healthy. Potentially overextended, maybe. So correction could happen to about 560, 550. Have a look at that. Would I be buying there? Really? Am I that crazy? I probably will. I'll do a nice trade on it, expecting a bounce at that area, of course. So we'll see how it goes for Monero. Monero obviously doing well compared to Zcash. I have not looked at Zcash. Let's have a look at it. Ever since I got stopped out, once it hit this white line, and now it's on its way back down over here. Crazy fake outs, okay? Like, we talked about what happened with Hyperliquid. Fake out right over here, flip the trend and then flip it again. Like, what are we doing here? What else screwed me over? It was Aptos. Same deal, flipping the trend over and then back to normal. Now we've approached this area, 178. I'm starting to second guess myself here. Since I'm expecting the rest of the week to go lower, we can still hypothetically drop with Aptos to about 167. No laughing at 6-7 jokes in 2026, but this is where I plan to maybe enter in Aptos. You could potentially risk an entry right here, right now, if you really want to, like, follow what this uptrend line is, but I think I'm going to play it safer. I'll look at the support level, expect a drop toward 167, anything below 170, right, and above 167, then that's where I plan to enter for Aptos. So for the time being, I'm going to stay out of it, even though it seems like at this area could be a good opportunity for entry. I'll stay out of it for now. I skipped ahead, so let's go back to SUI. 177 is the current price. We had some spikes up to 196, 193. It's been making lower highs, but always, you know, gravitating toward this area between 170, what is this, 175 to about 185, right? Current price is 177. We can drop to around 167. Same deal, what we're seeing with Aptos, right? Anything below 172 to 167 is maybe a good entry plan for SUI, right? So that's the plan for now. I'm waiting for the drop. Same deal with BitTensor, waiting for the drop. This was my projection from since the beginning of the week, honestly, but we never really had the big drop. Instead, we actually retested the 300, which each time I've mentioned, we've been poking a little higher and a little higher. So it's looking like the 300 resistance is weakening as time goes on. If we do approach around 260, that's where I do plan on my entry, then that's where I'll be going. Max long, BitTensor, go rise, and hopefully, you know, 300 won't be an issue. We'll have to worry about next Fibonacci level, which is looking at 333. By then, we have a 1-to-3 risk-reward ratio if entered properly. So that's the plan. Hyperliquid is at $24.59. You're still got an uptrend for it, although we got a nasty fake out over here, which stopped me out. At least it was in break-even territory, so I didn't really lose much. Entry plan, anything below 23.50 for Hyperliquid. Current price is 24.59. We'll see. We'll see how that goes. You'll move on to Chainlink. $13.70 is current price. I was not happy with the rise that we had. I felt like we needed to drop first before we started rising, but it felt like we rose a little too much in anticipation, and now we are confronted with this downtrend line that we didn't even fully approach yet, but it's still there, it still exists, right? It doesn't have to be perfect, it's just there for reference. So obviously we do have a resistance around that, around 1450, we'll call that, because 14 40 is basically where we hit our highest point. Obviously, after that is a $15 price level, which we've looked at being a resistance in the past and also potentially supports. So I think that is going to be an important level in the future, the $15. As of right now, same deal. Expecting a drop, anything below 13, good entry. Above, of course, 12.84 to $13. That's where I plan on entering for Chainlink. We should be able to break out of the downtrend, no problem, if we are to maintain this uptrend, right? Because higher high, higher low, higher high. Would this really be a higher low? I don't know. Anywhere we drop, even if it's close to oversold, I'd probably enter still. This, like I said, doesn't have to be perfect. And, I mean, you could even see the super trend kind of rise a bit. So, I mean, I'd probably enter around this area if you're not able to drop all the way down here. This is an exaggeration, but, you know, you got to keep your mind open for multiple scenarios as to what can happen. That's what I plan on doing with Chainlink. Anywhere, like, close enough, even if super trend rises with time, right? That would be our higher low. Then we would make a higher high, potentially approaching 15. But by then I do already, you know, I'd be in. My position would be open with the profit before the 15. Something like this, right? That's the plan. If Chainlink obeys, right? By the way, lower, high, sorry. Yeah, higher, you know what? We're starting off with that low, higher high, higher low, higher high, higher low. Would you even call this a higher high, higher low? Sure, maybe. Higher high. Dangerously low point, but we still made another higher high, which means the uptrend is still valid. I'm expecting a lower high, of course, before we take off to make the next higher high. If this uptrend is to continue, of course. So we'll see. I don't know if we could really count these because, you know, you still had a negative super trend during this whole time. But, I mean, it was already in formation, right? So, that's good. Let's see what happens. I'll keep that projection drawn for the time being. Aptos already mentioned 167. Concerningly, though, we didn't really break another high. I mean, we hit the highest point on the 6th of January. $2.99 millicents. This time we barely touched the $2. We hit it exactly, actually. It's literally a 1 cent difference. Is that a big difference? I don't really think so. And we also had this little fake out trend flip over here that I discussed. Don't know how to feel about that, but I won't let it bother me too much. That is all we really have. So I did notice there's news that happened with, I just talked about Chainlink. It was also Cardano and Stellar Lumen. Cardano's still holding its uptrend. I saw Blowin' Chunk's position on Cardano. It's brutal, man. It's crazy. Current price for Cardano is at 39 cents. Highest we ever hit on January 6th was like 43 cents. That's still pretty low, man. This thing is supposed to be worth like at least 70. So not much is going on with Cardano. It's going to be rough for Cardano. We're not going to see $3 for sure. I mean, you're expecting way too much money to flow into this project if you want $3 Cardano like we've seen back in 2021. In year 21, it was actually kind of worth it, and people actually cared because there wasn't many competitors, right? And it seemed like it was an innovative project at the time, competitor to Ethereum. But, I mean, since then we've had even more competitors to Ethereum, better options. Cardano's not being talked about too much anymore, so if we see like $1, that's your sign to get out and abandon project. But hey, you also got like $10 billion worth of people also thinking the same thing, probably. And for them to be saved, they're going to need another 10, 12, $15 billion worth of people also to buy into it. I'm just talking out of my bum. I need to confirm these numbers. Okay, so it's 14 billion market cap. That's even worse. You're going to require, I don't know, what is it going to be? 20 billion more of a market cap to get this thing to $1? Just give me the numbers, dude. Circulating supply of Cardano is 35,960 billion. That's million. That's billion. Divided by one. Is this just going to give me the same number? It's going to be 35 billion. Yeah, of course. Duh. Minus, what is the current market cap? 14,034,312,278. You're going to need 22 billion approximately. $22 billion. You're going to need a whole Dogecoin to come into Cardano, to merge into Cardano before you see Cardano $1. I think even Monero has a better chance at that. So, I don't know. I don't know if we can really keep our hopes up for Cardano there. And the other thing with Cardano is, well, not just Cardano, sorry. It was that and Stellar Lumen. Stellar Lumen I have a bit more of a soft spot for because, it's anti-XRP, right? We hate XRP on this channel, so Stellar Lumen, let's see, 22 cents, pathetic, okay. Wow, we actually dropped to a low of 19,765. This happened on December 31st. Well, Happy New Year. This thing hit an all-time low. But that also means it started the year strong, which means annually we're up 14%. Wow, what a celebration. At our best, I mean, we were celebrating a 30% rise almost. Sure, dude. So, I mean, you still also do have an uptrend available for it. Yes, we've had multiple false signals, right? But this one looks legit, at least for the time being. That means anything below 22 is a good entry for Stellar Lumen. We're at 22,678. No laughing at 6-7 jokes in 2026. So anything below 22, the millidecimals actually matter in this price. In this asset's price. So also, I mean, what is the market caps for this? Let me see. We've been at a 14, 15 billion market cap. This could easily duplicate to 40 cents. Once all that capital comes back in, of course. And if you really care about percentages, that is about a 77% rise. Obviously, 100% rise if it actually doubles in total, duh. But yeah. Has it been consistent with the price? Kind of. No, not really. I do notice the inflation a little bit, right? It was worth 62 cents when the market cap was 11 billion. It was never worth 62 cents. Oh, it was again worth 65 cents. Sure, the same thing, but the market cap was even more at that time. 15 billion compared to, what did I say? 11 billion. So $4 billion worth of decay in 4 years. And you got the same deal over here. This high was at 16 billion. And I mean, this price didn't even hit that. We would have needed absolutely more. It's because there's just more being added to circulation. But it does have a max supply eventually. I don't know how much false hope that would give you though, because it's going to take a while for all that to get unlocked. So for the time being, it will still remain inflationary, but with a hard cap on it eventually. We don't know how much longer in the future. I've not studied the tokenomics. So yeah, that's what we've got for Stellar. It's the better alternative to XRP though. And I mean, I think if you notice the charts, they're pretty similar, sort of. Let's see, market cap was at 119 billion. Oh my. And price was already way higher at $3 back in 2018. We've hit this even higher market cap at 200 billion. And price is still around $3. So yeah, same deal. Slight inflation. It's noticeable over a 4-year time frame, but short term it's not going to matter. So you don't got to worry about it too much in that sense. Okay. That's all for this then. Yeah, let's move on. Let's go ahead and get into our news as well, because we do have to talk about this stuff. Reason I'm talking about these, it will make sense. The CME decided to open their futures market with those assets. That's why. So we'll get to that when we go to our news. First of all, Iran. What is going on now? What do they want? So it was reportedly, the strike from the United States was reportedly called off at last minute. Trump apparently almost greenlit a strike on Iran last night, and then he pulled the plug minutes before execution. Iranian airspace has reopened, and forces scrambled from Al Udeid were told to stand down. Sources say that Trump halted it because advisors, they couldn't promise a decisive regime toppling blow, and warned Iran could hit back hard, and that the US might not have enough regional assets ready to cope. Right now tensions are still high, but the war didn't start last night. Imagine that. They were about to do it, but they were like, dude, we don't even know if we're strong enough to actually topple the regime. Like, they could still defend us pretty well, and we don't even have all our dudes here yet to, like, actually defend against their counterattack that they will inevitably do if we attack them first. Because we were talking about that ship, USS something, coming from Asia. It's going to take a week to arrive, okay? Maybe that means it gets delayed until next week. We're waiting for that ship to arrive, is what some people are saying. I'll talk about the ship in a second. Last night, all indicators pointed at the beginning of strikes. Even Iran scrambled their jets. What I'm not sure of, though, is whether Trump intentionally did this as a pressure tactic or whether he genuinely changed his mind. Either way, this unpredictability is one of his core strengths. Is it unpredictability, or is it, how do I say it? Like, you're misplanning it, you're not planning it correctly, you're being reckless, I don't know. You act now and think later kind of deal. As we saw in the 12-day war, in Venezuela and in the Ukraine peace negotiations, all of it was unpredictability. I still think the strikes are imminent, but I hope cooler heads prevail and both countries reach an agreement that leads to peace and less bloodshed. Okay. And for anyone thinking that Iran is off the hook and that the US is no longer planning strikes, these are the satellite images of the USS Abraham Lincoln. That's the ship that we're waiting for. It's headed straight to the region, and it will arrive next week. This aircraft carrier was part of the strikes on the Houthis last year, as well as the Iraq and Afghanistan in the 90s and 2000s. The ship has been through hell, so it's on its way, and it means business. Maybe we'll expect the attacks next week. Iran says that President Trump actually informed them that the US had no plans to attack, so it was all a media operative. Or maybe it was just... How do we say it? Like, I don't even know. Would they even trust this? If you got the call from Trump saying... Like, you hear, first of all, before that, you hear all around the news, Trump is like, we're going to attack Iran. We have all these people ready. We're sending stuff over there. Military. Clear the airspace. Everybody's leaving. Evacuate immediately. We're about to attack. Help is on the way. Civilians keep fighting. And then later on, he's like, hey, by the way, we're not going to actually attack you. This is, trust us, bro. And then what would the Iranians think? Yeah, he's lying, right? He's still going to attack us. He's just telling us he's not going to attack us to catch us with our pants down, right? Like he did with Maduro or something. So, I don't know. They were clearly prepared for an attack, but nothing happened. And now they don't know when it's going to happen, which that's the beauty of the unpredictability, or the disorganization, whatever you want to call it. They're saying now Trump just de-escalated with Iran, not through the State Department, through Switzerland, or through Qatar. It was through Pakistan at 1 a.m. This apparently happened. Iran's ambassador received the message overnight that there will be no attack. Exercise restraint. The oil, Brent, crashed 2.5% within hours. Why was Pakistan involved in this? Because they share 959 kilometers of a border. The ISI IRGC channels predating both governments. Okay. Geographic inevitability with plausible deniability. Qatar offers neutrality. Pakistan offers something better, a channel where both sides claim they never talked. Trump says he told them to behave. Iran says they showed strength. Neither capitulates publicly. The architecture lets both narratives survive. Get to the point, man. 72 hours ago, the world watched Diego Garcia. What? 6 B-2 bombers, half the combat-ready stealth fleet, GBU-57 bunker busters designed for Fordo. Wing of Zion evacuated to Greece. The exact pattern of preceding June 2025. Everything, every signal pointed to war. And then a message moved through Islamabad at 1 a.m. and the calculus inverted. The buildup was never preparation for strikes. It was leverage for this moment. Trump proved in June that he would act. We had, the 7 B-2 bombers. There were 14 bunker busters, largest strike of its kind in history. And now he is proving he can restrain. The markets understood instantly. Oil, WTI, West Texas Intermediate, settled at $60.11. CFTC longs unwinding. Another $4 to $6 downside as positioning catches reality. But here's what the oil bulls are missing. Lower prices compress Iranian revenues 10 to 15%. Lower revenues deepen the fiscal crisis. A deeper crisis accelerates the pressure on a regime already bleeding in the streets. So Trump doesn't need bombs. The price compression does the work. That's interesting. Okay, it was worth the read. The 25% tariffs on Iran trading partners complete the architecture. China and India will face a $70 billion exposure. Economic strangulation without a single Tomahawk missile. The protesters are still dying, though, and the rial is still collapsing, but the bombs are not coming. Not because Washington is weak, but because they kind of already won. In that sense, if we're talking about the prices of oil. That's the art of the deal. Executed at 1 a.m. through a border that cannot be ignored. The Pakistan. Okay, I did not look at prices of oil, so let's have a look at that. I still have it saved in the favorites. We're at 59 right now. Oh, they've been coming down. After this de-escalation, look at this crash. From top to bottom, how much is this? Okay, what did you just do? I literally hit my spacebar by accident. About a 5% drop in 4 hours from peak to low. And yeah. The uptrend is still there, though. I mean, if you really want to buy, you're looking at 57.60 plus. Don't know much if that is going to happen. At this time, I'm just going to stay out of oil, honestly. I don't want any exposure to it. It's too much uncertainty. You'll get stopped out easily, whatever you do with it. So I'm staying out of it. The whole point of this post basically is, look, we could bomb them and get regime change, which the reason we allegedly stopped the attack was because our attacks were not going to be enough to actually trigger a regime change because we don't have all our guys there yet. So what we're going to do is call off the war, lower prices, lower the oil prices, right? Because the oil prices were rising due to the war tension. Now that the tension kind of unwinds, kind of relieves a little bit, low oil prices would affect Iran either way, economically, which maybe that's the way for a regime change. We hurt them economically until they can't anymore, and a regime change inevitably happens. There's that. And also we are also indirectly hurting China and India. Right? Because they're one of the top trading partners of Iran, and we already announced a 25% tariff on any countries that do any market trading with Iranians. So there's that. It's also a good thing that we delayed the Supreme Court tariff decision, because what if the tariffs were deemed illegal? First of all, it would hurt us economically. We wouldn't have enough money to spend anymore because we'd have to refund a bunch of countries. You wouldn't get your $2,000 dividend tariff check, which we'll talk about. Apparently that's no longer going to be a thing. I know, crazy surprise. Fell for it again award is what people are saying. But then also, without the ability to put more tariffs, we wouldn't be able to pressure Iran like this as well, especially during this crucial time when we want to pressure them with a 25% tariff. So that's also to get other countries involved with stopping Iran from getting any money to weaken them economically. That was the plan. Good plan. So that's the little update on Iran. It's not over till it's over. And that's just going to be this thing in the background for a while, which we're going to have to get used to. So crash another day, not this week. The White House comments on the meeting between Denmark and the US, which apparently happened. Caroline Leavitt says that the two sides agreed to establish a working group for technical talks on the acquisition of Greenland. The president has made it clear he wants to acquire Greenland, she adds. And that has, of course, the NATO countries a bit concerned, so they sent their finest men to guard the desolate island. NATO's strongest duo has arrived. So the UK deployed a whopping 1 soldier to Greenland, and Norway also ups the ante with 2 soldiers. So the total force is just 3 people, 1 tent, and a very serious commitment to defense. I know this is all just partially jokes because I'm pretty sure France also sent some military personnel. In total, what do we have? Oh, here's the number. I didn't even read this. France has 15 military personnel. Germany has 13. Sweden has put 3 people there. Norway has sent 2 people. Finland sent 2 people. The UK sent 1 guy. And so did the Netherlands. That 1 guy to defend the Greenland. What do we do? Is this like actually a joke? If I really had to reason behind this, because this actually happened, okay? If I had to like reason, why are they doing this? It's because if the United States does actually apply military pressure and go all in and starts, in a military situation, people are gonna die. Soldiers, the counter soldiers, whatever. It's so that the United States doesn't harm one of their military personnel. Because if they do that, you understand how NATO works, is an attack on one is an attack on all. And all of these countries would get involved even harder to stop the United States. And of course, they're not going to send their whole military arsenal over there because they obviously know that in the first strike, the biggest strike that the United States will give to Greenland, if there was to be a military invasion, it's going to be a heavy hit and they're going to suffer a huge loss. They'd rather lose 1 guy or 2 or 3 or 15 guys rather than, I don't know, a whole battalion. So maybe that's their strategic reasoning. And yeah, right. You killed one of our soldiers, we're going to war with you, United States. That's probably what they're going to say, and maybe United States will get kicked out of NATO. I don't know what the deal is going to be. Can they really afford to do that, though? United States has been funding NATO like crazy, so I don't know if they would survive without the United States. Maybe they can. I don't know. It's all up to them, not up to me. I'm not in a position of power. I'm but a 24-year-old man. That's it. We also had, talks about the strikes on Venezuela. A bill was introduced that would prevent the strikes from happening without congressional approval, of course. A war power resolution. It was meant to limit Donald Trump's ability to carry out further hostile military action against Venezuela. Well, that bill is now no more. It was killed tonight by a vote in the Senate of 51 to 50. That was a pretty close vote. And it had to be tie-broken by J.D. Vance, the vice president. After Trump personally spoke to and successfully flipped the votes of Republican senators Josh Hawley of Missouri and Todd Young of Indiana. And Vice President J.D. Vance had to step in to break the tie, the 50-50 vote, making it 51 to 50, meaning that, yes, the United States can still carry out military action against Venezuela if he so pleases. Take that. How's that for a change? Maria Corina Machado, she came to visit the United States today. Unlike Delcy Rodriguez, which was just a phone call. What are you, scared to step foot in the land of the free? But whatever. Machado presented her Nobel Peace Prize medal to Trump at the White House. I guess she feels bad and she's trying to, how do I say it? I don't want to say bribe, but I had the word in my head a second ago. He's trying to seem good with Trump, get on good terms with him, so that she can get an endorsement from him. Because so far Trump has not been happy with her, and he's used the excuse of the Nobel Peace Prize, it's because she took my Nobel Peace Prize. That is why I'm not endorsing her for president of Venezuela now that we have control over it. So it's interesting, right? Anyways, she gave Trump the 18-karat gold medal during their private meeting Friday. What Friday? Is today Friday? Today's Thursday. What are we talking about? Did nobody else mention? Yeah, today, right? Tomorrow is Friday. Good. I thought I was losing my brain cells. Okay, so today, thanking him for ousting Maduro. The Nobel Institute already said that the prize cannot be transferred. They're like, no, that's not how you're supposed to do it. But anyway, only Trump could lose a Nobel Prize and still end up with a medal. That's crazy. Because, yeah, if you recall, the Nobel Peace Prize was given to her for whatever reason. She became irrelevant in 2024, so I don't understand. But hey, she's the one who was supposed to be the winner of the elections, but Maduro decided to stay in power, kind of deal is what I understand from it. But whatever. Here she is talking to reporters, and they asked her about it, like, why did you give Trump your Nobel Peace Prize? Well, she replied with, well, 200 years ago, General Lafayette gave Simon Bolivar a medal with George Washington on it. Bolivar kept that medal for the rest of his life. And 200 years in history, the people of Bolivar are giving back to the heir of Washington a medal, in this case the Nobel Peace Prize, as a recognition for his unique commitment with our freedom. Okay, so it's like, hey, thanks for helping us 200 years ago. Here's your medal back. How symbolic, how poetic. Whatever you think of Trump, that is one hell of a historical framing. Okay, cool. Yeah, this will make the history books. Congratulations. Trump also commented on it, posting on Truth Social, "It was my great honor to meet with Maria Corina Machado of Venezuela today." Not president, by the way. "She is a wonderful woman who has been through so much. Maria presented me with her Nobel Peace Prize for the work I have done. Such a wonderful gesture of mutual respect. Thank you, Maria." No Venezuela for you, though. None of that. Anyways, Emmanuel Rincon, who is supposed to be no, never mind. I'm thinking of someone else, right? Anyways, apparently this was discussed in the White House. I'm assuming these are senators. She talked to them saying, "What is happening right now is historic, not only for the future of Venezuela, but for the future of freedom in the world. I am just one of millions of Venezuelans determined to recover freedom, justice, and democracy for our country. We want our families to be together again. We want dignity. We want equality." Okay, relax, Hitler. "We want equality before the law. We are deeply pro-American society. Today in Venezuela, there is not a single institution that is truly standing. I want to assure you that we are going to turn Venezuela into a free and secure country and into the strongest ally the United States has ever had in this region." Yeah, she is very clearly trying to get the Trump endorsement. Okay, relax. "When Venezuela is free, millions of Venezuelans will return of their own free will. There is hope for the future. You trusted the Venezuelan people when many believed it was impossible. We managed to reunite a country. This will be difficult, very difficult, but what we have achieved so far is extraordinary. I have just had an extraordinary meeting with President Trump." I know this, by the way, was not public, I don't think, because I didn't see any videos or any photos about it. It's just a private, closed-door meeting is what it seems like, so all we can base what happened there is looking at what she has to say about it. She says, "I know there are concerns about what has happened in Venezuela. January 3 changed the history of our country forever and for the better. I ask you to think about everything we have lived through. 26 years, 35 elections, wait, really? That's crazy. Millions of people in the streets. Some were murdered, teenagers, children, women sexually abused simply for defending their vote. 17 different attempts at dialogue, all of them betrayed. The administration understands that if we want Venezuelans to return, we must rebuild institutions, respect human rights, guarantee freedom of expression, uphold the rule of law, and establish a new authentic electoral process. I have insisted, and I will continue to insist, that Venezuela has a president-elect, and I am very proud to work alongside him. Regarding my meeting with President Trump, I believe the president understands very well what is happening in Venezuela and fully grasps our country's potential as a strong ally of the United States. He is deeply concerned about the safety of the Venezuelan people, about the children who are not getting to school because teachers earn barely $1 a day. $1 a day keeps the doctor away. Smile about it. President truly understands this reality. I am deeply grateful for the opportunity to convey what the Venezuelan people are going through at this moment. And then she followed up by saying, I want to warn that if there is one thing this regime has known how to do efficiently in the past, it's to buy time and take advantage of efforts made in good faith. Delcy Rodriguez is currently part of the regime. There is no way a country where 86% of the population lives in poverty can attract real investment. Who is going to invest in Venezuela if there is no independent judiciary and private property is not respected? In this hemisphere and beyond, the law enforcement operation has generated expectations and hope, but it has also sent a clear message across the region about security and to irregular and criminal actors about the consequences of their actions. They understand that this is over. This model is not sustainable. For reconciliation to happen, there must be justice, so we must dismantle the system of repression so that people can express themselves freely. It is not just about political prisoners. They can be released and still not be truly free. They can be released and still not be truly free. Wow. Okay, well, that's all she had to talk about. Man, you talk too much, woman. Moving on. That's Maria Corina Machado for you. We have a little update on Hamas, Israel, Gaza. Steve Witkoff announced we have officially entered the next phase of Gaza's 20-point peace plan. That's a long time, but hey, cool, finally. This is what Steve Witkoff posted. He says, today, on behalf of President Trump, we're announcing the launch of Phase 2 of the President's 20-point plan to end the Gaza conflict, moving from ceasefire to demilitarization, technocratic governance, and reconstruction. The second phase establishes a traditional technocratic Palestinian administration in Gaza, the National Committee for the Administration of Gaza, NCAG, and it begins the full demilitarization and reconstruction of Gaza, primarily the disarmament of all unauthorized personnel. Like that's ever going to happen, but we'll see, okay? The US expects Hamas to fully comply with its obligations. Okay, well, if you say so. Including the immediate return of the final deceased hostage. Really? Okay, wow. Didn't even realize that was one of the negotiations, but whatever. Failure to do so will bring serious consequences. My money is on the serious consequences. I don't think these guys are going to give up all their weapons voluntarily like that. But hey, it's for the greater good. You're getting a new Palestinian authority, so smile about it. Importantly, Phase 1 delivered historic humanitarian aid. It maintained the ceasefire, returned all living hostages, and the remains of 27 of the 28 deceased hostages. We are deeply grateful to Egypt, Turkey, and Qatar for their indispensable mediation efforts that made all progress to date possible. Nice. Greg Crypto, welcome. Good to hear from you. Yeah, it's fine if you're a little behind. Hope you're enjoying the stream so far. Reading a lot of information. A lot is being talked about, but it's important. So I have to get through it. So Trump reposted it saying, we have officially entered the next phase of 20-point peace plan. Since the ceasefire, my team has helped deliver record levels of humanitarian aid to Gaza, reaching civilians at historic speed and scale. Even the United Nations has acknowledged this achievement as unprecedented. Is that true? Okay, cool. These results have set the stage for this next phase. As chairman of the Board of Peace, we'll talk about that in a sec, I'm bringing a newly appointed Palestinian technocratic government, the National Committee for the Administration of Gaza, NCAG, supported by the board's the board's high representative, to govern Gaza during its transition. These Palestinian leaders are unwaveringly committed to a peaceful future. With the support of Egypt, Turkey, and Qatar, we will secure a comprehensive demilitarization agreement with Hamas, I hope so, including the surrender of all weapons and the dismantling of every tunnel. Dude, good luck, but okay. Hamas must immediately honor its commitments, including the return of the final body to Israel. Why are we keeping that? But okay. And proceed without delay to full demilitarization. As I have said before, they can do this the easy way or the hard way. The people of Gaza have suffered long enough. The time is now. Peace through strength. Keep that in mind. The peace thing. Because now Trump has just announced a new formation called the Board of Peace. He posted this on Truth Social saying, "It is my great honor to announce that the Board of Peace has been formed. The members of the board will be announced shortly, but I can say with certainty that it is the greatest and most prestigious board ever assembled at any time, any place." Great. Well, all the best. What else we got? Trump just reached a $500 billion trade deal with Taiwan in a monumental victory. $250 billion is coming in to invest in USA chip making. The other $250 billion is coming from the Taiwanese government for the supply chain. Trump wins. Okay. And this is the power of tariffs, of course. This is why tariff good. Okay? Okay. This also happened. Nothing much about it, other than to mention Kash Patel, fired corrupt FBI agents in anti-Trump Arctic Frost inquiry who weaponized law enforcement. Okay, getting rid of the bad guys. Cool. This also came out. Dr. Oz looked at President Trump's record and said he has the highest testosterone he has seen for someone over 70, as per RFK Jr. Are we sure this is not just glaze? Because what is this? And remember this quote? This is a really funny one. He said this during COVID. Trump said the doctors said they've never seen a body kill the coronavirus like my body. Because Trump did get COVID at one point, remember? And the people were telling him, like, yeah, drink bleach, like he said. Anyways, he said, they tested my DNA, and it wasn't DNA. It was USA. That is so cool. This is once in a lifetime president. But in terms of the tariffs, as great as they are, and the fact that you're supposed to get a $2,000 check, seems like you're not going to get it anymore because I guess Trump has amnesia. Can we get a brain exam on Trump? He says he has no memory of promising $2,000 tariff checks to citizens, subsequently rescheduling the potential distribution to late 2026. Does that mean that it's still going to happen? I'm confused by this post. Is this true? Yes, it's true. New York Times interview reported by the USA Today. President Trump said, "I did do that? When did I do that?" when he was asked about the $2,000 tariff check promise, and suggested distribution toward the end of the year. Because that is kind of what we understood from it. Yeah, it got announced, but then he's like, oh, but it's going to come at a strategic point of time, late 2026, when the midterms are about to happen, so that it's fresh in your memory that I gave you guys an extra $2,000 dollars. It confirms the promise exists, but they note delays and no firm plan yet. It's obviously going to happen before the midterms. So I want to find, did anybody actually post the... Where's the actual tweet, the Trump Truth Social post? He did promise it, okay? Just take my word for it. We got anything new? Oh, here. Image just released showing President Trump with Nobel Peace Prize medal presented to him by Corina Machado. Presented as a personal symbol of gratitude on behalf of the Venezuelan people in recognition of the President Trump's principled and decisive action to secure a free Vencrucia? Vencrucia or Venezuela? What is Vencrucia? Is that real? What the heck is that? Venezia. That's Venice. That's Italy. Dude, what? Okay, brother. Who is even running this account? W or L? That's a good question. I think this is a W. Deserved. I'm the only vote. No, 3 votes. Everybody agrees with me because I'm always right. Lovely. Trump also commented on the financial numbers that we got, the economic data that we looked at yesterday, the inflation stuff. He says great financial numbers were released today, and this post is from today. So what financial numbers came out today? I did not see anything unless we're looking at a different economic calendar. What is going on? Today's the 15th. I don't think we got economic data today. Initial jobless claims. That's it. Most important thing is initial jobless claims from this whole list. And it's not even that important. Well, anyways, he says our country has never done better. So many people ask me the reason for this, and I tell them in just one word, it's the tariffs. We have taken in hundreds of billions of dollars with virtually no inflation, and our national security has never been as strong as it is today. God bless the USA. Dude, I think we could use our tariff revenue eventually to buy Greenland. I looked at this other, I didn't find a specific post about it. I already talked about Greenland. It's going to cost $700 billion to acquire Greenland, and I'm assuming that's if we buy it out, right? Not that we bribe every citizen and now they become Americans if we give them a $100,000 check, right? I don't think that's what it is. Or like that's the amount of money it would cost for a military to invade. I think that's just us buying it from the Denmark government or whatever. And $700 billion, coincidentally, is Elon Musk's net worth. $700 billion. And people are saying he could do the funniest thing right now. Literally, if I type in 700 billion, I think we'll get the meme. U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio is expected to prepare a proposal to buy Greenland for $700 billion from Denmark. That's a pretty good deal, Denmark. Come on now. Yeah. United States is reportedly finalizing a staggering $500 to $700 billion cash proposal to buy Greenland outright from Denmark. Yeah, so there's the answer. And we're going to pay for that with Elon Musk's net worth. He's going to sell all his Tesla shares, his SpaceX shares, the private stuff, and we'll get it. Here you go. Having more than $700 billion all to yourself, and you're the richest man on Earth, but you still think you're a victim of some sort is crazy? Okay, no, that is not what we're talking about. Never mind. Oh, he also says there's roughly $700 billion in fraud nationwide per year. What is wrong with this number? 700 billion. What is going on? Like, actually, he says that that is the amount of fraud that is happening in the nation. $700 billion in fraud. This guy's worth 700 billion, and we're about to buy 700 billion to get Greenland. Use 700 billion to get Greenland. Strange coincidence. Okay, and that is annually, right? Yeah, per year. Okay, that's crazy fraud. Maybe Elon is the one committing the fraud. No, obviously not. But yeah, it's pretty funny to think about. Insider trades. Remember, this is probably our newest insider trader queen. Now that Nancy Pelosi gone, now that Marjorie Taylor Greene gone, it's now Debbie Wasserman Schultz. We talked about this one, iCore Holdings. That has now risen 103% since that post was posted. Bike River Quantitative, of course. Helka Mining Company, we also looked at. Was I smart enough to mark this? I might have. Let's go HL. Give me that. No, I think we might have. Oh my gosh, this thing is still rising. And she bought in, like, when was it? It doesn't tell us the date. September 6th, 2024. When? Yeah, it was just at that time. Okay, September 6th, 2024. She bought right around over here. Oh, I did mark it. Look, I did mark it. Look at that. She bought right there. $5.55. Now this darn thing is worth 25 and 22 cents. That's crazy. I told my mom about this and, oh well, I don't know if she paid attention and actually bought it. Huge return if she did, big if true. So that's cool. Pretty funny, pretty interesting. What else did she buy? Viasat, which we did also look at the beginning of 2025, I think. November 21st is when that was purchased. That has already risen 539%. Oh boy. Oh boy. She knows, man. Solid rise. I'm gonna go to like a daily chart because this looks messy. When did we buy? When did she buy? Not we. Whoa. November 21st, 2024. That's November 2024. She bought right over here. This dip right over here. She literally bought bottom. November 2024. She bought bottom. And now look where this thing is. Making all-time highs at $44, $45. So, in the future, If you see anything from this darn woman, you know that she's onto something. And this is the best trade, apparently. NGD, this is one I do not think I looked at. New gold stock. Purchased July 2nd, 2025. It was a 2024 purchase, though. And it has already risen 300% since that day, July of 2025. It was reported that the purchase was made in 2024. That was already a 300% return, and now it's 753%, which is crazy. NGD, let's have a look at that. Oh boy. So she bought in 2024. Yeah, dude. She bought bottom again. This is 2023. 2024 was like, she bought from here to here. We don't know specifically where. Okay, but that's still a good buy. To be all the way up here from $1, $2 per share to now $10, almost 11. That is insane. Lucky or insider? What are we thinking? So that's crazy. Well, congrats, I guess. You cheated the system and you've played it well. Congrats. Okay, market structure bill. This thing got delayed as well, which is annoying to deal with, but whatever. We move on. Coinbase, we already heard that they withdrew their support for the crypto market structure bill because it would ban tokenized equities, it would severely limit the tokenization of real-world assets, the DeFi prohibitions, the erosion of CFTC's authority, and the draft amendments that would eliminate rewards on stablecoins, which allow banks to squash the competition. We'll talk about the banks and the stablecoins in a second here. But now overall, the Senate Banking Committee, who are supposed to have their vote today, they canceled the crypto market structure markup. So the U.S. Senate Committee on Banking, Housing, and Urban Affairs has canceled the scheduled markup of the long-anticipated crypto market structure bill this week. The Agricultural Committee already canceled, by the way. They've pushed it to a later date, maybe by end of month. So this one, though, it comes amid major pushback from industry players like Coinbase. Maybe we have Brian Armstrong to blame here, but I don't know. They publicly withdrew support, saying that the current draft would be worse than the status quo. The bill, rooted in the Clarity Act framework, meant to define crypto market rules and regulatory authority, which we also reviewed, by the way, and it's now in limbo, forcing a reset on amendments and timing. We thought it was all going to be a good thing. It seems like that's what the market clarity was supposed to do. So it's not a delay anymore. It's a leadership moment in how US crypto regulation actually gets built. Why did crypto drop today? Probably because of this. The long anticipated vote on the bill getting delayed. Did not happen. Why delay? Maybe also because of the big banks. We'll explain in simple terms. It's a big post. Banks do not want real competition. DeFi and stablecoins threaten their core business. This bill, in its current form, limits that competition instead of encouraging fair innovation, which we've talked about. Even JP Morgan's CFO said it clearly. If stablecoins are allowed to offer yield, banks will see large money outflows. That one statement explains a lot. Brian Armstrong from Coinbase said that this bill would make crypto worse than it is today. He said directly, no bill is better than a bad bill. Not because regulation is bad, but because this version protects banks more than it protects innovation. What the bill actually does is, it's not that much points. Tokenized stocks would almost be banned. That's not good. Crypto versions of equities would become nearly impossible in the US. This kills one of the biggest real-world use cases of blockchain. DeFi would be treated like banks. The government would get broad access to user data. Every transaction would need reporting. This would basically destroy privacy and would kill the whole idea of decentralization. DeFi would stop being DeFi and becomes another bank system. Unless you're Monero, but anyway. The CFTC would get weaker and the SEC would get more power. The power gets centralized under one regulator, which that's not what we want. We don't want another XRP situation, you know? Innovation slows down, crypto native projects face higher compliance and more uncertainty, and then the last point is that stablecoin rewards could be banned. Stablecoins would not be allowed to pay yield. Why? Because yield attracts deposits away from banks, which would protect the banking system from competition. So when you connect everything, the DeFi would become controlled, stablecoins would lose their yield, tokenization gets blocked, and the banks face less competition. So apparently the bill did not help crypto much. and instead it would protect banks. We want the opposite to happen. We don't like banks, and we want crypto to benefit. So we're going to have to delay this, review it, give something proper, get the endorsement from everyone, including Brian Armstrong, and then we can all smile about it. So arguably this could be a good thing, the fact that it's delayed. Maybe that's copium. Everybody was saying that it was good. We were anticipating this for a long time. It would end the market manipulation was the big thing. It seems like we're going to have to suffer with that for a while longer, which is annoying, but whatever. Banks are freaking out over stablecoin yields. Paul Barron, crypto analyst, stated, translate the JP Morgan earnings call with Matt Hoogan of Bitwise. The core of the issue isn't just competition. It's a fundamental threat to how banks make money. The math. If a consumer can If a consumer can move their money from a bank account paying 0.1% to a digital dollar stablecoin paying 4%, then they will, right? The scale. The U.S. Treasury and banking groups estimate that a widespread adoption could drain up to $6.6 trillion from the traditional banking system, which would be a nightmare scenario for banks because it would create a massive funding hole and bank runs, and the government will have to bail them out and all of that stuff. But okay. Because if you don't know, banks do not have your money. They loan it out, they invest it, and they'll keep a small amount on it. That's why they limit to how much transactions you can do daily, how much money you can take out. If you do start taking out large amounts of money, they start asking you probing questions. Why are you doing it? Who are you giving it to? All this kind of stuff. What is the purpose? And honestly, it's none of their business. I do what I want with my money. The Genius Act loophole is also an issue. Part of the reason... Actually, never mind. Marjorie Taylor Greene opposed the Genius Act. Just a quick reminder for that. Banks are furious because crypto exchanges like Coinbase and other third parties are still paying rewards to users who hold stable coins, and banks argue these rewards are just interest by another name, allowing crypto to bypass the rules that banks have to follow. Banks are following the rewards, the interest payouts that are set by stuff like the Fed, right? The central bank, whatever it is. They have to follow those rules. And then when you have another crypto company coming in with their, bald head and cool sunglasses and say, hey man, just keep your money in our stablecoin, we'll pay you a greater yield. Obviously, the customer is going to want to save their money in a stablecoin with a higher payout, right? A higher interest rate. Despite whatever the central bank is doing, what they're saying the interest rates should be. I'll give you an example, right? On my Wealthsimple account, Bank of Canada has been lowering their interest rates almost in every meeting. And one of the checking accounts that they offer you has interest payout, right? It's not a lot, but it's whatever. It's a very tiny amount. Who cares about it, honestly? But every time that the Bank of Canada cuts their interest rates, you get a notification saying, hey man, starting this day, we will reduce our interest payouts to you because that's just what the Bank of Canada did, and we have to follow that rule as well. Now, if I opened a Coinbase account, get USDC on there, stake that, and I'm getting 6% annually or whatever, obviously, I'd rather keep my money in a stablecoin rather than the bank. And banks lose business for that, so that's why it is no good. That's the big issue. I hope that makes sense. Another big thing, it should be bullish, but clearly no one cares. The CME group will launch Cardano, Chainlink, and Stellar futures. Let's go. More CME gaps. Just go 24/7, please. Actually, don't even, at that point, why should we have a CME for these? I understand why, but, more exposure, more options to get into it, whatever. Options itself, I think. Expanding its crypto derivatives lineup, the CME Group is set to launch Cardano, Chainlink, and Stellar futures on February 9. Okay, great, thank you. No one cares, apparently. Peter Schiff, he's got something to say. Old man yells at Bitcoin. Before I read this whole Bible of a paragraph, this is basically what's happening. Old man yells at Bitcoin. Okay, so he says, big moves are coming in precious metals and Bitcoin. Wow, how exciting. The investors need to prepare. All right, what do you got? For gold and silver, that means buying more physical metal and loading up on still incredibly undervalued mining stocks. So keep buying everything that is at a big fat all-time high right now. Keep buying this. It's going to go higher, is what Peter Schiff is saying. Now, for Bitcoin hodlers, that means selling now before the next market crash. Sell the Bitcoin. It's going to crash lower. I think it's going to crash, but not that much. We'll eventually rise. We'll break 100K, hopefully by end of this month. That's kind of my vision on it. So I disagree, respectfully, Peter Schiff. Sell now, or else this thing is going to keep crashing. Hey, maybe it does, or maybe not. And that's the beauty of it. My last bit of news: get out. Nvidia-backed company is planning to develop their first hotel on the moon by 2032. And it's going to cost $416,667 per night to be on the moon hotel. How crazy is that? I'm down for that. If I was obviously super rich, I would. But it's only one night. But you're on the moon and it's night 24/7 there, isn't it? Was that stupid of me to say? Whatever. Like, sure, it's like you're just buying a house at that point, because it's always nighttime. Haha, get it. Okay. Which company is this, though? Can we ask Grok? Let's see what it says. Moon Hotel. Gru Space. Gru Space. Are we talking about like the Gru, the Minions guy? What's his name? His name is Gru, right? Let me just look up the word Gru. Yeah, this guy. Fictional character. Super villain. And he goes to the moon too, right? I did not watch the movie, so I do not know. Spoiler alert, by the way. I do not watch any movies at all, ever. No shows, no movies. I'm just like that. Did he go to the moon? I'm pretty sure there is. Did Gru steal the moon? Yeah, I mean, Google is listening to me. Oh, wow. Spoilers of Despicable Me. Anyway. This company is called Gru Space, an NVIDIA-backed startup company. They're bringing together builders with backgrounds in spaceflight, autonomous systems, and large-scale hardware, united by a single goal, making humanity. We're making humanity. That's it. No, I'm kidding. It got cut off. I can't read the rest of this. Dude, do I really want to go through this? The first hotel on the moon. I'm scrolling down and nothing is happening. Am I supposed to click on something? Nope. That's the website. What you're seeing on my screen is literally the website. Oh, here's an arrow. Duh. White paper. First man on the moon. Moon landing was fake. First Gru mission. Habitat established. Okay. And then what? Oh, this looks like the White House, dude. Hotel on the moon. Honestly, looks more of like a motel. Why don't you make it large stories? Okay, that's pretty cool. Oh, imagine that view. Big if true, man. Oh, we're making multiple buildings by the looks of it. And then what do? You just hop around 6 feet in the air. Do a couple backflips. I mean, it would be cool for an Instagram story or something. $400,000 Instagram story. First lunar system set. Great. Oh, I love the animations. Oh boy. This is me scrolling, by the way. That's how it's doing it. It's not that it's frame lagged. Lunar cave base. This is what they're building to shield from radiation and temperature extremes inside an inflatable system. This is inflatable. It's deployed and further construction tests begin, preparing the way for building at scale. The first lunar hotel in 2032. It will be deployed on the moon, built on Earth, and then delivered by a heavy lander. So we're going to pre-build the building, carry it from planet Earth, and plop it on the moon. That's crazy. It's designed to operate for 10 years. What, 10 lunar years or 10 earthly years? We're talking about space here. Obviously 10 Earth years. The hotel offers views of the lunar landscape and Earth, along with envisioned experiences such as surface experiences, including moonwalks, driving, golfing, and other activities. Golfing on the moon? Driving on the moon? Driving is going to be pretty insane. What if you go up a mountain, you reach the peak, you do a backflip, and you're just... You got so much air time. Like, you know what I'm saying? And other activities. Okay, cool. Long-term presence. Okay, pay whatever. Is that Mars? Are we going to Mars next? Oh, we're loading a 3D model. That's Mars, right? That's not the planet turning red. I hope not. Imagine that is our only hope. No, that surely, like, if Earth dies to, I don't know, the sun, the moon is next. So who cares? These are the guys. I don't know any of them. This guy looks like Sam Altman. $1 million reservations. Hey, that's a scam. I heard 400,000. Oh, now it's 250,000. Okay, well, they're clearly undecided on the price. Is a 22-year-old founder? Is it this guy, the Asian guy? Skylar Chan. How old are you? He's actually 22. I'm 24 and I'm rotting away over here. This guy's building moon bases. Why can't I do this? Hey, hire me. I'm a good web developer and I cannot make anything better than this website. The website's pretty good. What else do? I do cybersecurity or something like that. I also do fintech or something like that. I'm also a really good collector. I don't know, I could collect your payments. Oh, this is actually a 3D model. What's the purpose of this? Like, can I put it in Blender? So we're going to build this and drop it on the moon. Built from lunar regolith? Okay. So we're actually using moon dust, moon sand to build this. Okay, so we're not actually like creating this. Obviously, we don't have moon regolith on... lunar regolith on the planet. On our planet. Okay, so we're going to build this over there. Is it only going to have 3 rooms and we're only building a couple? I mean, yeah, you're probably not going to get that many people there at a time. How long does it take to get to the moon? Like 2 days? It's a 2-day trip. Oh, here's like obviously the other thing. That's like the headquarters thing. Okay. Lovely. I like that. I approve. You have my stamp of approval, and best of luck. Maybe if I get rich from this darn Bitcoin, I'll take a trip over there with my hot wife, and we'll have a good time. So, that's the plan. For now, we drop. Okay, guys, that is the end of the stream. No more news to cover. Hope you enjoyed. Hope you learned something new. What are we doing tomorrow? Tomorrow's Friday. Nothing's happening Friday. We'll cover whatever news comes up. We already went through a majority of what was important this week so far. We got the economic data. We had the meetings with the Venezuelans. We tried to bomb Iran, but ended up backing out because we're scared and we don't have the resources to defend a counterattack from Iran. Oh, so scary. Come on, dude. But anyway, so we'll see what happens next week. Next week, PCE data, maybe the Iran attacks start emerging again. And then FOMC meeting. We're obviously not expecting a rate cut for January, this meeting. We gotta wait for Powell to leave, and the guy's already getting criminally investigated, which is pretty crazy. Is there any updates on that? I wonder. Jerome Powell. Oh, what was that? Canada signs agreement with China. Canada's over there in China doing tomfoolery. Alright, what are we doing here? Yeah, there's not much going on with Powell. Alright, that is all. Yeah, so I'll end the stream here, guys. Thanks for watching. Have a good